Yes, family. Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Rosera Menin. Yes, family. One perfect balance. Yes, welcome again to the special, extra special edition of Politically Incorrect, where we always get it correct. And if we ain't get it correct, just inbox, holla at me, and we going to get it straight. Always, as always, man. Give thanks, everybody, on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Yes, I see you, Alex. Islam, peace to you too more. Yeah, well, I had an amazing day. Really, really amazing day. Let me go ahead and cue this in. You know how it is. I gotta go look for my own life. It shouldn't be too difficult because I had this day lined up a little earlier. Kind of anticipating tonight. Tonight we have a beautiful night. Beautiful night. I have some special guests coming in. If you're now joining me, I have really, really special guests coming in. Give them a few minutes to get in and settle themselves. I don't have one, not two, but three rabbis. Three rabbis from they're not from Barbados. Let me put it that way. I think they're from NYC. Well, some of them, but they're definitely from North America. And as Black Jews, they have a lot to say. I think, personally speaking, I had spent the afternoon with these brilliant men, and I learned so much, and it was very interesting having a dialogue one-on-one about Black consciousness and where we are as a people and where we're going. And as Rastafari, I definitely feel, the connection. I understand it even more. And I see where, there's so much we have to do as a people, and indeed, as always, like I say, in my father's house, indeed, are many mansions. So go tell a friend to tell a friend. Tonight, we're having a conversation with the Black Jews. Remember, it was only a couple of weeks ago we talked about this book, only a couple of weeks ago. And now look how the universe has manifested it. And yeah, this is my book review night. This is book corner right there. But definitely we're gonna have a direct conversation. And yo, brother Phil, matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna inbox you shortly. I definitely gotta say thank you for making it what it was, man. And I should say what it is, because this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. This is the awakening. I can't even call it the awakening. This is really more like the resurrection, really, because this is a whole different level right here. So tell a friend and tell a friend. And in the meantime, I got a tune I want to drop to. This is interesting because I came across this tune only recently, and I had my reservations at first, but I gonna drop it anyhow, man. Tell a friend and tell a friend, man. We must go back to our place in Kiswana. No. Politically incorrect in the building.
Here. This is the motherland.
Nessun Black, song called Motherland Bounce.
Yeah.
Song called Motherland Bounce.
For the motherland. Yeah. We gon' play it louder till they feel it, yeah. We gon' blow the roof off the building, yeah.
Tell a friend and tell a friend, man.
Play that motherland bounce. Check it out,
a different kind of night. Totally different kind of night.
We Baba, Black and get a shopping with a Sammy Davis cousin. Tried to dodge the industry, but now my name is buzzing. They all saying that I'm conscious. I say that it's nonsense. So I say I've been on since on had an on switch from Seattle, the rainy city where my mom lived, in Jerusalem, the golden city that was conquered. But still we moving onward. Motherland conquest, smell me like an armpit. Yeah, we gon' play it louder till they feel it. Yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building.
Yes.
We gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We Baba. My mama told me that I read good. Been on my straight and narrow, but my history is the hood. Thank God today that we could buy a box of Cheerios or kicks. I can even buy tricks. I'm no longer on with EBT.
I'm gonna drop the link to this joint too.
My passport lit, stamped like a notary from every country that I went. Ain't a country like this from the others you've been sent. Black is beautiful. This gon' be the motherland hit. Yeah. We gon' play it louder till they feel it. Yeah.
We gon' play this thing loud, man.
We gon' play that motherland bounce.
Tell a friend and tell a friend, family.
Check it out now, motherland bounce. We Baba.
I see you, Charles. Sonia. Miss Shy, I see you, Elder.
Bounce.
Yo, Telma.
He said it's God's plan but I'm God's man.
Yo, tell Candy,
I used to roll
Barbados
with
said
BGG.
hi.
I dropped the B and put
I
a
see you,
O after
Samuel.
the G.
Jade.
6 points, still big up King D. In the synagogue,
Anna, I
camouflage,
see
but
you.
I can't wipe the skin off. I'm proud of it, it's loud a bit, but I'm not trying to
Brother
Chris
Hallam, I see
Paul.
you.
I done made it this far, hold it all in my
Airy
heart. I
Fairy.
hold my breath and brace myself when they take their socks off. Ain't no monkey business, cause ain't no monkeys in here.
Ain't no
I know
monkey
what you
business,
debating.
family.
The black Abe Lincoln just wanted you
Ain't
to
no
be
monkey
aware.
business.
Signing off, it's Mr. Black. Hitler's
Okay,
worst
tell Candy,
nightmare.
come on
Yeah.
in, come on in.
Yeah, we gon' play it loud until they feel it.
Shout out to all the
Yeah,
Hebrews.
we gon' blow the roof up off the building. Yeah.
Those who identify
We gon'
themselves
play
as
that motherland
Israelites.
bounce. Check it out, that motherland bounce.
Jews.
Check it out, that motherland bounce. We baba. Yeah, we gon' play it loud until they feel it.
Salam
Yeah.
alaikum to the community.
Yeah, we gon' blow the roof up off the building. Yeah. Yeah, we gon' play
be
that
an interesting
motherland
night,
bounce. Check it
for
out,
real.
that motherland bounce. Check it out, that motherland bounce. We baba.
It's going to be an interesting night,
Gotta
family.
take your hat off, man. Another one?
Another one.
Gotta take your hat off, brother. I can't cut your hair. Tell y'all I ain't from around here. You need to leave them chains here. You ain't gonna make it off the block.
Yeah, serious,
Okay.
serious. Big tune, Motherland Bounce, brother. Nissan Black. Now, I came across that brother, man. I was like, wait, this guy is an Orthodox Jew and rapping? Like, what is this? what the world coming to? An Orthodox Jew rapping is like, wait a minute, man. You know, I say that, and I did that on purpose. Obviously, I played that one deliberately because, of course, we got the rabbis coming in. I called them the three wise men. You know, this is what the three Magi's, the three wise men, and it's fitting because, like I said, the information is pertinent, is relevant, and most importantly, it is non-judgmental. And that was the most beautiful thing about the conversation we had this afternoon, including Brother Phil. And I definitely got to shout out to Brother Phil. Philip definitely, you know, made that difference, being a man of the faith as well. So it was like you're hearing a narrative and you might have information, you might know stuff, but there's little gaps being filled in. And also there's some clear overstandings of misdirection because, again, the system deliberately keeps us back and forth and fighting. And, you know, I must admit, man, I mean, we on the same page. That's the bottom line. We on the same page. And what's most beautiful about it is that it's divine guidance. You know, when you're being guided by the Most High, there's really nothing else you could say. And you look at the writing on the wall and all the things that are going on. So, yeah, is that kind of time, family. But I'm gonna go and shout the brothers real quick because I know they were driving back to the other side of the rock, and I trust that they would. Okay, please give me a minute. All right, they said give them a minute. They're gonna come on in a second. They're working on it, so that would mean that they got in safe. And on top of that, in one sound mind. Where was this? I just was going to send this. Where? Here you go. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Yeah. There you go. So it's that kind of night. I wanted to touch on one or two things first, really quick, but my mind just went somewhere else. Maybe I should mix it too. Yes, I got to talk about the GIS thing again. I got to mention it. For those watching for the first time, you could check the broadcast for the last few weeks. There's been some real issues here in Barbados, and it's been, trying to gloss over this issues of human rights violation, especially for the children. And right now, we got to fix that as a people. We got to fix that as a people. We can't let Pharaoh, damage our children or take our children from us, because at the end of the day, we are, we are guardians of the children, and the children are the future. And if we don't protect our future, if we don't protect our children, then we don't have any children. Every day in the news, you're hearing about a mass shooting in America. I heard another one was at elementary school is the most recent. And then I'm hearing about police, brutality. Family, we got to reach a point where we recognize that none of these things apply to us. And when I say it doesn't apply to us, I don't mean that we should be, we should turn a blind eye. What I'm saying is that America and most of the world have been pursuing the children of the Most High for a while. This is nothing new. This is just a continuation of the same evidence that we have seen, especially in the last 300, 400, 500 years. What we need to do as a people is focus back on what we need to do as a people and get ourselves back right with the Most High, get ourselves back in tune with divine order, and trust when I tell you, everything gonna just work out. But until we get ourselves in order, it's gonna be complete chaos around us at all times. It's just gonna happen all the time. Telma said 21 dead is so hurtful. Telma, I ain't going front. I don't always buy into the narrative of these, there's a lot of false flags and stuff to justify certain things. I'm not saying it is or isn't, condolences to those if the children did lose their life. Like, I fully empathize with that. But I also know the devils that we're dealing with. And by devils, I mean those that oppose the rule of law from a governing perspective, from a godly and a righteousness perspective. They don't got no regards for none of that. So we have to hold ourselves in an esteem where we establish what we need to establish and therefore have our lands and stuff restored by being obedient to what we are assigned to do as children of the Most High. Having said that, I also want to take a minute to shout out someone that I would have met in my journey. I got a message this afternoon said he passed away, and that's Johnny Tudor. Now, I ain't into politics and politicians. Y'all already know that. But Johnny Tudor was a man that, when we were doing a youth program, if he could assist us in some ways, he would have assisted us. And he did assist us occasionally. And therefore, I just want to respect that. He, whereas other politicians say they would do stuff and never did nothing, this brother looked out for Biap, and the youths in Biap, speaking of youths. So I want to take a minute here, man, just to send a tribute and real kinetic energy to Johnny Tudor's family, especially Dominique. I really don't know the others, but his wife and stuff, I'm not really sure, but his entire family, most strength during these times, considering all that's going on. But, these days is some funny nights, you know what I'm saying? So we got to be, vigilant and in tune. And so most strength to you and the family, and, just keep firm, sis. And I trust it all works out according to divine law and divine order. So family, do please send some kinetic energy to the family, the Tudors. At any day, we are a brother's keeper. And like I said, we don't come on here to bash anybody. That's not why we're here. But we're here to get things right and get things in order. So having said that, blessed love. And now, man, without further ado, I'm just going to organize my brothers in a few minutes. They're in the studio waiting. So I'm just going to go ahead and line it up. But I see a lot of folks came in. Fire Space, I see you. Big up to the family in Virgin Islands. We got the Virgin Islands tuned in. We got Canada tuned in. We got England tuned in. I see you all. I give thanks. Jack Hewlin, peace to you too, sister. Blessed love. Blessed love. Candy Apple, greetings to you too, family. Give thanks. Man, Stephen King in the building. This is the original one too. Shalom, brother. Shalom to all those joining us for the first time. This is going to be an amazing night. Go tell a friend again to tell a friend. If you haven't done it yet, I'm going to bring the brothers in a few minutes. If you haven't done it yet, go tell a friend and tell a friend. This is, I told you all earlier, this is resurrection time. This is not the time about the awakening. There's no wake going on here. We're not having a wake. This is where we're going to wake up the mind now. This is to resurrect the mind from a state of sleep, like Ezekiel bones, and bring life to them so they take on flesh and take on the whole armor and walk a righteous path. So without saying anything else, I'm just going to go ahead and do my two things, and I'll see you all in about 5 seconds. Yes, family, greetings in the name of the Most High, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Shalom, shalom, Empress Wazira, men in one perfect balance. Joining us, let me get this panoramic thing working out where we are. There you go. That looks a little better, yeah? Yeah, that could work. That could work. Greetings, family. Shalom, shalom again. All I can say is just go ahead and introduce yourself. I think that's the best thing to do. Let y'all introduce yourself, man.
Shalom uvracha, peace and blessings. My name is Rabbi Shalom Olevi. I am the president of the International Israelite Board of Rabbis. I am also the spiritual leader of my own congregation called Beth Elohim Hebrew Congregation in St. Albans, Queens. And I'm also a professor of history at Northampton Community College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm honored to be joined by two other colleagues of our board who they will introduce themselves. We have Rabbi Baruch Yehuda. I think we're going to switch to the other camera if that's possible.
Yes, it's possible. It's possible.
Okay.
Well, what
That's
you can
gonna
do is
give us
just
better video.
what you can do is just perhaps mute. If you're going to use this mic, that mic, sorry, you can mute this one so that there's not that feed forward coming in.
This is
Yeah, there you
hopefully
go.
a bigger screen. And
Okay, do me a favor. Mute that other
we'll turn
one.
it off completely.
Yeah, just mute that one. I mean, well, yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay, and I was just about to introduce my colleague, Rabbi Baruch Yehuda, who's the Vice President of the International Israelite Board of Rabbis.
Greetings.
Shalom, everyone, giving all praise and honor to the creator of heaven and earth. Blessed be his name. I am Rabbi Baruch Yehuda, as I am the spiritual leader of B'nai Adat Kol Beit Yisrael, a congregation located in Brooklyn, New York. And I'm here with, as you just said, our president and our assistant treasurer of the international body, Rabbi Yahat Ben Yehuda.
Good evening, family. Shalom. I am Rabbi Yahat Brazelton Ben Yehuda from Chicago, Illinois, with Beth Shalom Ben Azakin Ethiopian Hebrew Congregation in Chicago, Illinois. I am the assistant treasurer of the International Board of Rabbis. And thank you for having us today.
Well, I got to say first, a big welcome to the platform, Politically Incorrect. I mean, it's an honor really to have all three of you. I call you all the three wise men, you know, and hailing not necessarily from the East on this occasion, but coming from the West, you know, towards the East. So there's a balance going on. But I definitely got to welcome you because many people came in here that would have sat on this platform from different regions, different parts of the world, including the motherland. And it's always an honor to hear the different, I don't want to use the word culture loosely, but definitely different culture or traditional aspects of life as a people, as children of the Son, as children of the Most High. So I definitely want to welcome you, what you consider the first time here, but hopefully this is just the beginning to Politically Incorrect. Definitely thank you all. Black Jews. Okay, I'm just going to dive right in. We got this thing about Greg Louganis. You know, we don't even play on the platform. We just dive right in. Black Jews. Can somebody explain to me what is a black Jew? Because growing up, you know, you hear the word Jewish all the time. You keep hearing, well, these are Jewish, and all you see is what appears to be, typically according to Hollywood, light-skinned, European-looking, and sometimes these guys are all blacks with funny-looking hats and twists on the side of their head. So that's the average person. They hear the word Jewish. This is what comes to mind. So when you say you're a black Jew, what exactly do you mean by that?
We mean that we are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the people of the Torah. We prefer to call ourselves Israelites because that is the biblical term, although we accept the term Jew as a common, popular term today to describe often the same people. Often people make a distinction between black and white, but in our view, race is a European construct and a European mental trap of dividing people. We understand that if you use traditional definitions of race, meaning people of African descent are black and people of European descent are white, if you use that method, then we argue that the people of the Bible, not only the Hebrews and the Israelites, but all of the people in that area, the Egyptians, the Canaanites, the Amorites, all these people would be considered black. And so for us, it is a matter of reclaiming our identity and connecting to our historical and spiritual history.
Nice. I like how you said historic and spiritual. I like how you connected the two because the reality, historically, we are spiritual. And I think we have lost some of that footing in the middle passage, so to speak. Because in this day and age, when you look around the world, you see, I mean, no matter what country you pick, you see indigenous, what we call African people, suffering the same fate. No matter what country, whether it is Canada, America, Brooklyn, Texas, England, China, wherever you look, Ukraine, you see African people almost suffering the identical fate. They're not getting the respect like other nations do. Why you think that is, my brothers?
For Rabbi Baruch?
That's because of, first thing I would like to say is that's because of the position we find ourselves in, having left God. As Israelites, if you read the Tanakh, if you know anything about the Hebrew scriptures, you know that the Israelite people decided, for whatever reason, that they didn't want to do what God told them to do. And ultimately, the consequence came from being scattered to the four corners of the earth, as it's called. So in the coming back, our people are caught between the political assessments, the racial assessments, and the spiritual assessments are usually put at the bottom of the list, because we are taught that connection to God in these days are taught as something that's a personal, warm and fuzzy feeling in your belly, that you know, there is no God. And that is not the position of the Hebrew or the Israelite. That's not our position. So in the coming back to ourselves as this people, we find our people caught in a quandary. Because as we were talking earlier, we were talking about definitions and things, that people are all confused. As you say things, people go by the definition that's in their own mind. They don't stop to figure out what the definitions are that are being spoken. Like the first question you asked, when you say people just automatically assume that Jew referred, or Jewish referred to some European descent. The fact of the matter is, our people in times of most of the prophets that you know about, we were referred to after the time of Daniel, Nehemiah, all of those people. The whole kingdom was referred to as Yehudim in Hebrew, and if you translate that word into English, you're talking the word Jew. So our people were known like that before anybody of European descent was ascribed to that term. Today, our people see these terms in these descriptive colors of black and white. And so in order to differentiate, as a matter of fact, the term Black Jew, that is the moniker that Rabbi has said that, you know, we accept this because of historical background, but we weren't the ones in our community who started that.
What do you mean?
They wrote about us, you know, Jewish commentaries, people writing books and so forth, and called us Black Jews. But that wasn't the terminology that we use as a community. That wasn't the term. In fact, here's the funny part. That wasn't the terminology they used.
Wow.
You wouldn't believe up until the early part of this 20th century, in the early 1900s, all of them used the same term: Hebrew, Hebraic, even Israelite.
Yeah.
But then there was a decision that they went to that term Jew, which is now the prevailing term. So if you say it, that's what people understand. And a lot of times we use it simply to make clear that we are people that follow the Hebrew scriptures and the Hebrew scriptures alone.
Right. And I think one distinction you can make between people who actually practice this faith and other people who just study it and look at it historically, right? So for us, our position is, if you're going to use racial categories, which is, as we said, the European concept. So even if you're approaching it from a Black nationalist perspective, often they fall into the trap of defending European concepts and ideas, right? So Black is a European concept. Africa itself is a European concept, right? It's, the word Africa comes from the name of a Roman general, Africus Ciprianus. So they named the continent just like they named America after the Italian Amerigo Vespucci, right? They named Africa. That is not a name that the people who lived on that continent chose for themselves. Egypt is a European Greek term, right?
That's right.
So we don't want
Right.
to fall into defending European concepts as we try to liberate ourselves. Yet we have to work within a existing political structure that is real. That is, the concept of racism, but racism is real. That sounds like an oxymoron, right? How can both things be true? But just because a person has, a concept, if you're dealing with a crazy person with a knife or a gun, you don't have to deal with their illusions, but you do have to deal with the gun.
That's right.
Because that is real, even
That's
if
real.
their concept of, insanity is not. So this is why we reject the notion of race, but we have to deal with racism. And also part of the process of reestablishing our connection to our identity is ridding ourselves, our people, of a concept of whiteness that they associated with all of the Bible, not just the Israelites, but even the Christian concept of Jesus and Christianity. In my own case, just to use it as an example, my parents were from Fayetteville, North Carolina, in the American South. They started out as Christians. They did not know themselves, but they were very devout in their Christianity. Yet in all of that connection and church going, they themselves believed that Jesus and all the people in the Bible were white, because when they looked at pictures in their Bible, they were white.
That's all they saw.
All the images. So even their connection to Christianity, much less to the Israelite origins, in order to let them know that you are not appropriating someone else's faith, right? That you are not borrowing, you're not a guest in that. This is part of your cultural heritage. And in order for them to understand that in these days and times, you have to explain that in racial terms that they will understand, right? And so this is why we presented it. But our position has always been that if you're going to use racial categories, the original Israelites or Jews or Hebrews, which are synonymous to a certain extent, the original people were black, which is not to say that the only people are black. So you can have original people who are black in ancestry, and over centuries, if they move to Europe and intermarry with Europeans, then in the very, very few generations, they will look European. And that is just biology, and that is interracial contact with groups. But that does not change their history. So they may look white and have African ancestry.
Right. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. I know your Wi-Fi is breaking up a little bit. Maybe you can just shift the laptop a little bit. Maybe that might make a difference. But the idea of using the term Black Jew, again, like you said, it's a construct because it automatically kind of puts you in a different category as if you're separate from a Jew, when in reality, to use the term like you said, you would be classified as the Jew. This whole idea of a Black Jew makes it sound as if, again, you're separate, like different and distinct, different from being a Jew. So I definitely appreciate you elaborating on that, and I could see how that color coding also helps to promote racism, to give people the impression that, well, Jews are normally white, but these are the black ones, when really and truly it's pretty much the other way around.
And the issue of the separation, when our people began to find out who they were very interested to go into bookstores and get books and read about history and things, and they were denied. They were denied access because the people of the time wanted to keep this construct in its place.
That makes sense.
Right? They have made these distinctions so that they can still dictate the narrative, right?
Right.
But the reality is that just like men like yourself and people who watch this broadcast, we read now. We can find out information now.
That's right.
The world is a lot smaller now via internet. We can see things that you can't just tell it to us anymore, right?
That's right.
We can
That's
go,
right.
we can go on the continent and find the Hebrewisms, if you allow that term, throughout our people on the West Coast, down in South Africa, in all over the continent. You'll find it. That, listen, the people on the planet right now that everybody, bar none, will say has been practicing Torah the longest are black-skinned people. The Ethiopians
Right.
that they brought over in Operation Moses and Operation Solomon, that they're still giving particular hell to in the state of Israel, are the people that have been up in Amberba practicing Torah for thousands of years, and surely long before there was a state of Israel.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That's
So
right.
The
Facts.
reality is here these people who've been practicing all of this time are now under the scrutiny of people who have now been given the right to, or at least they believe they have the right to say who is a part of the people of God, and more importantly, who can return to the people of God. Do you know that when they, right in the state of Israel, when they brought the Ethiopians in, the Sephardic chief rabbi Ovadia Yosef was like, they don't need any conversion. But the Ashkenazi chief rabbi decided they absolutely had to have conversion. Conversion to what?
But how would that work? You're
Exactly.
referring to the Beta Israel Ethiopians?
Beta Israel. That's what I'm talking about.
So how would they convert? Explain that to me.
There's no way for them to convert. What I'm saying is that the Ashkenazi chief rabbi at the time, his name slips me, wanted them to convert to Judaism. And the reality is that right now, they still don't have the same rights in that country as all the rest of the Israelis, unless they give up all of their heritage and conform to a European style of Judaism. When they do that, they're okay with that. So my point in saying that is that, as Rabbi said earlier, although this race thing is something that they constructed, racism is very real, and it pervades itself in every facet of our life, including as we're trying to learn about God and trying to deal in the realms of God.
And we have to be very careful with the categories and definitions that we use, because they are not universal, right?
Yeah.
So what you consider black and white is not what everyone in different parts of the world consider to be black and white. For example, the category, what we call white, was invented by a European naturalist by the name of Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. And he divided the world into 5 categories.
Right.
The category for what we will call white today, he called Caucasian, because he believed this referred to people who originated in the Caucasus Mountains of Europe. Now, if you use that definition, this would not include modern day Jews who do not claim to be from the Caucasus Mountains, but claim to be Semitic people, right? So therefore, when people use the term anti-Semitism, right, they mean against Semitic people, right? And so therefore, what you call white, Europeans in Europe did not consider Jews to be white. Black people in America tend to think of all Europeans, and we accept them all as being white. During World War II, the Nuremberg laws of 1936 defined who is Aryan. That was the term they used.
That's
More
right.
specifically, white.
Aryan race.
Right? And it specifically said that if you have 2 generations of Judaic or Semitic background, then you are not white, or you are not Aryan. In America, the definitions were different. We have what we call the 1-drop rule, meaning if you have any African ancestry, you are black.
1 drop, just 1 drop of blood.
Right. And in South America, many people who in America today we call Hispanic, in their countries of origin, they would consider themselves to be white or black, right? But in America, We don't consider people who have Native American, indigenous, and African mixtures to be white when they come to America. But in Cuba and Puerto Rico, they would be white.
Yeah.
But when they come to America, right, you're Hispanic. There
Are
are
they brown?
no Hispanic people.
Are they brown?
in
Are
South
they brown?
America. For them, Spanish is a language, not a race. Right?
Wow.
But in America, if you come from South America, you do not meet our definition of whiteness. But in South America, you do, right? Europeans, right? Jews are not white in Europe, but they are in America, right? So therefore, like I said, all of these categories, which definitions are you using? All of them are European. All of them are harmful to some degree, right? We need to deal with them, but not embrace them and reinforce them.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question since we're going to go that direction. You mentioned the Caribbean and the European concepts, European ideas or definitions, really.
Right.
How do you fit the narrative? Because I myself on this platform have spoken about a gentleman by the name of Rabbi Ford. And as a what we would consider, using it very loosely, as a black Jew going back over a century, how then, in terms of racism and how the European have developed this system, how then would a black Jew out of Barbados be to the point where he is traveling, going to North America, and be the founding father, one of the founding fathers of a synagogue? I mean, to promote, again, using it very loosely, being a black Jew coming from of all places too, of all the places, Barbados. How does that fit into the European construct of racism? Because how is it possible?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. And that brings us to our purpose on the island today, right? We are here because part of the roots of our identity comes through Barbados in the Caribbean. The Black Jews or Hebrew Israelites of the United States, which people normally think of, look it up, and looks at the Black Jews of Harlem or the Black Jews of America. What many people don't know is that movement, although it occurred in Harlem in the early part of the 20th century, many of the leaders of that movement were of Caribbean origin. And one of the most important was Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford, who was born here in Barbados in 1877. He moved to the United States shortly before World War I. He was a talented musician. He had knowledge of his history and ancestry going all the way back to Nigeria. So although he was nominally a practicing Christian, he knew that his people through Nigeria, possibly through the Igbo, had Israelite roots and connections. And that part of our liberation, both spiritually and politically, required us to reclaim that. And this is because their worldview is that racism is not just political and economic. It is also cultural. And so therefore, one of the things that the construction of Blackness as an identity and as a category, or as that term, Negro, is a people without history, without language, without contributions to human civilization, right? And so therefore, a people who lack those things deserve to be treated in a way that is not equal to other people who do have language, history, and culture, right? And so therefore, in redefining who we are, he said, we do have history.
That's right.
Our
We do have
history,
a culture.
Our history is what you have claimed for yourself. We do have culture. Our culture is the culture that you have claimed for yourself, right? And so this is the kind of challenge that he posed. When he arrived in America for World War I, he got involved with an organization called the Universal Negro Improvement Association, which was founded by Marcus Garvey in Jamaica.
Marcus Messiah Garvey.
They were colleagues. They worked together, and not just in a minor way. Rabbi Ford wrote the national anthem for the organization. I think right behind you, I see a flag, the red, black, and green flag, which was the flag.
I got
of
the ice gold and green one, but it's funny you said, because I've actually played that anthem again. This podcast, I've actually played that anthem, that song, And it's a mighty song. As a matter of fact, I'll probably close out this evening by playing that actual anthem in honor of him.
We would love to hear it. But
Oh,
although the
definitely.
flag has survived, not many people know the music. And he
No,
wrote,
they
the
don't.
name of the song was called Ethiopia, which didn't just refer to the country. Often when they wanted to refer to the country, they would say Abyssinia. But they used Ethiopia in the broader sense, meaning the whole continent of Africa.
That's
They
right.
also argue that Ethiopia should be an alternative term, since it's a lot about terminology. As we've been talking about here, they recognize that. They were arguing that Ethiopia would be a better term than Negro or Black.
I agree.
And
Because
he
it
was
ties you
teaching
into
Hebrew.
nationality. It ties you to a nationality as opposed to not having a nation, not knowing yourself.
Right. And so Rabbi Ford was not only the author of the music, but he was the musical director of the UNIA. So when you see many pictures of Marcus Garvey in his convertible limousine going down streets, you see the parades. He also helped write the rules and bylaws for some of the auxiliaries. He was present at the World Convention at the old Madison Square Garden, where Garvey had a committee to decide what was called the future religion of Black people. And he was one of those arguing that we need to reclaim our Israelite identity. Finally, in 1930, he moved to Ethiopia. So from Barbados to the United States to Ethiopia. What brought him to Ethiopia was the coronation. Oh, wonderful, bringing up the picture. Of the man you have in back of you, Emperor Haile Selassie. And this man here that you see on your screen, Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford, actually performed at the coronation ceremonies for Emperor Haile Selassie.
Now that I did not know.
Well, he was also a musician.
That I did not know.
He went to Ethiopia in 1930, performed at the coronation, and met with the Beta Israel, the Ethiopian Israelites who were already there. From there, he received a shmika, or ordination, which is what grants a rabbi legitimacy for a rabbi who was from St. Kitts. His name was Rabbi W.A. Matthew. He established Commandment Keepers Congregation in Harlem in 1919. And so we have knowledge of ourselves for over 100 years. He provided the shmicha ordination to Rabbi Matthews. Rabbi Matthews was the founder of the congregation in Harlem, Commandment Keepers Congregation. He ordained many rabbis. All of our congregations derived from him. My father was a student of Rabbi Matthews, who was a student of Rabbi Ford. And in 1970, they established a congregation here on the island of Barbados called the Zion House of Israel. That congregation is still functioning on the island today. We are here to help revise it, to help strengthen it, to help it become a vibrant place where people can learn about the things we're talking about.
What year was it? You said what year was it established?
It was opened in 1970 and dedicated in 1971.
1970 and then
And
71.
the person who established it, her name was Maybelle Beckles. She was a Bajan who was born here on the island, went to the United States to work, as many Bajans moved to Canada, England, and the United States to find employment. And while she was in the United States, she worshiped at these Black synagogues. Matter of fact, she helped found some of the Black synagogues. And her dream was, I want this knowledge to exist in Barbados, in my home country. When I go back to Barbados, I want to build a Black synagogue here on the island. And that she was a modest woman, not of great wealth, but through her own resources, she bought land and built the synagogue from the ground up. And that synagogue is in Haggett's Hall, Barbados today. It's open every Saturday, where people can come and learn about the history, the culture, Hebrew, celebrate the biblical festivals. And that is available right here on the island of Barbados right now.
And Haggett Hall, you said, when do
Yes.
they normally meet there? What times? Like
every Saturday at 11 o'clock, the services begin, and
Sabbath.
everyone is welcome to attend. As a matter of fact, all three of us will be there this Saturday,
and we'll be meeting people personally. We'll be speaking. We'll be reading from the Torah. We'll be teaching the scriptures. And we are practicing what we preach, not just having knowledge that this is part of our cultural heritage, but we need to reclaim it and practice it, because as Rabbi Baruch said, part of our liberation is to understand that the political problems that we identified, social, economic, that these were all prophesied. This is part of prophecy, right? It is because we are not living in the way that God intended for us that all these terrible things have happened to us. So changing it cannot be done just purely through political or economic means, but there must also be the spiritual element as well.
The restoration time, man. It's restoration time, really.
Correct. And so now, if I may, this is the reason why we have been working so feverishly, because as our people are coming up on the different, especially on the continent right now, in Nigeria, South Africa, and all these other places, there's been a lot of interest from even the European communities to go there to convert them to a type of Judaism that they would recognize. Since over the past several years, we've been going to the continent. Our chief rabbi, Kepa Shmuel Funeh, who is the spiritual leader of Beit Shalom Beni Zaken, where Rabbi Yahat is the assistant rabbi, he has made connection with the people in Nigeria and South Africa, Uganda, Ghana, and we've gone to these places. As his attaché, I usually travel with him.
Nice.
And what happened in two of the places that we went, I'll just give you two quick examples. Both in South Africa and in Nigeria, there had been people from the European community come to teach them about Judaism. The problem was they wanted them to give up who they were as indigenous people. For example, in Nigeria, just give you a little example. In Nigeria, if you go to someone's home formally, right? There's a process that they do to welcome you into their home. It's called giving kola. And this kola nut is the indigenous tree of Nigeria.
That's right.
And so what they do is the master of the house, the head of the household, will hand you a plate with kola. You accept it graciously and you return it to him, and then you sit down and have that and salt under his roof. That is their custom. That is their way. When people came otherwise to teach them about quote unquote Torah, they told them they had to stop doing that. When they asked me, I simply said, it doesn't violate Torah. Why do you have to stop being who you are? These are the things that ground you and have rooted you, and all of the things that have made you who you are throughout this diaspora. It's like you mentioned at the beginning of your show, and this is not a snipe at nobody, but you mentioned at the beginning of your show when people recognize these the European Jews, and they have on the black hats and they have on the long black coats and so forth and so on, and people recognize them and go, oh, that's Jewish. That's not Jewish. That's Lithuanian and Polish, and all of those are their customs that they brought from their country. I'll give you an example. I'll tell you the funny joke. There was a movie years ago that Gene Wilder played in called The Frisco Kid, where a rabbi from Poland was being sent to San Francisco to replace the rabbi, and he got lost and a bunch of things happened. But he met up with people just like him. And he assumed that they were Jews. And they turned out to be Amish Quakers because they had the same background culturally as the people from Poland. So they don't excise their national cultural roots from their Judaism, but they expect
that you
or they expected the Nigerians and the South Africans to do that. Whereas
give up-
only thing
give
we
up
were
theirs.
trying to do was teach them Torah and teach them of the word of God and how it's supposed to work, clarify any things in Torah that they may have needed clarified. And there's a whole community. The chief rabbi represents a whole community in Nigeria of thousands of people. In South Africa, we have a binding agreement between us of association. We have congregations in Uganda. We are the people of the diaspora are moving to come together. We spent time in Ethiopia to understand the background of our people in Ethiopia and how they came and what they did. Climbed the mountain of their first temple, walked the mile in the track that they made from Ethiopia to Sudan, then went to Israel to meet with the elders who were the progenitors or the recipients of Operation Moses, Operation Solomon, to find out that they too were having some of the same things, which unfortunately revert back to this Western concept of racism. And so our people are being gathered all over the world. And people like you who are voices to pervade this information, right? Men like you who are dedicated to pervade this information, to allow people to know that the Hebrew scriptures are a part of our culture. It is who we are.
Right. That's right. That's right.
It is not some religion that we're picking up. This is not a religion that we're picking up. We're not joining up with anyone. We are simply returning to our heritage, back to our roots. When you look at the term, just look at the term Jew, right? Because we've talked about it and we talked about, but that absolutely belonged to an African, and I'm using that term loosely too.
Of course.
People before any European had the moniker of Jew. And so what I'm saying to us is that we have to, as a people, we have to get beyond the idea of this being a political statement. Being a Hebrew is not a political statement. It is a return to our culture, our way of life, to the God that we've served, to the God that has maintained and kept us. Do you recognize that all the people of antiquity are gone? You don't hear nobody stand up talk about the Babylonians. You don't hear people talking about only the modern time people. Even the people who call themselves Egyptians right now are mostly from the Sudan. They're not even the indigenous folk from that place. What I'm saying, I mean, I've said that wrong. The people in Egypt right now are mostly from the Arab nations that are in Egypt now, and the original people, I'm told, are now more down in the Sudan. I'm only saying that we as a people have this as our culture and our background. Mm-hmm. This is no religion that we're picking up. We observe Shabbat because that's what Hebrews do.
That's right. I fully get that.
If I can interject something here, I think it's important for us to understand that we can be ourselves, right? And being yourself does not require that you define other people. Just define who you are.
Right.
Right. So therefore, if you get into, trying to define other people and tell them who they are, let them tell you who they are, find out who they are. But we need to focus on who we are.
I agree.
But because, people think two racial groups can't claim the same ancestry. If we claim that we're Israelites, then they can't be Israelites, right? That's in logic what we call a non sequitur, right? We can be who we are, and they can be who they claim to be, or maybe they're not, right? But if you think that race determines the possibilities of who you are, or that you can tell a person's lineage by looking at the complexion of their skin, right? Then you again lock into fallacies and traps. So we're proud to be who we are as Israelites, right? We understand we are working in an environment in which people think in certain ways, and you have to meet them on the level and use terms that they know and understand, right? But we also know that our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Aaron, David, Solomon, they would not be using these terms, right? They would consider themselves Israelites because they had nationality.
There you go. There's that word I was waiting to hear.
Not ethnic identity in the sense of race. They would say, I'm a Hebrew, I'm an Israelite, right? These are Egyptians. And our view, Egyptians and Israelites are both black people, right? Throughout Africa, they're all black people, but they don't use race. They say, I am Igbo, I'm Yoruba, I'm Hausa, I'm Fulani, right? They have nationhood, not racial category. So I think.
Let me ask you a question then, and while you're on that topic, because this is probably going to be the monkey wrench, right? It's the monkey wrench time. Since we have been conditioned, and I hate to say this, especially people of the Caribbean. I mean, it's been such an arrested development when it comes to information. A lot of what you're saying that other people might be aware of, like you said, the brother left Barbados over 100 years ago, and this was already going on then. The average person in the region have never heard of this before. I mean, literally, a black Jew, the idea, even just the terminology, a black Jew, it sounds as if it is something so far differently removed from what we have been conditioned to see. How do we, I don't use the word educate, but how do we educate? Okay, how do we educate the people of the region, or to start to see themselves again? Because we were all taught the whole transatlantic slave trip. So the average person in the Caribbean went to school. They were never taught what happened before the ship. They were only taught what happened after the ship. There's no telling them, how did you get here? How do you get now to educate people to remember who they are? How do you and your community, your nation, how do you go about introducing the idea that this is a nationality that we are part of? How do you go about introducing that?
The first thing you have to do is accept the words of the Tanakh, the Hebrew scriptures, as truth. And more people consider it truth than they'll tell you, because the things that are in the Hebrew scriptures are the things that most people use to verify everything else. Whether they've written the Greek scriptures, they've tried to make that solid and solidify it through bouncing it off the Hebrew scriptures. Like I said, the world nations of families are still referred to, even in secular history, back to Genesis 10, where it tells you about the people of the earth. So if for those who would believe the words of the Hebrew scriptures as truth, then we start there and talk about the prophecies and are able to show people how they fit into that book. Because in their mind, as the rabbi said, they've always seen this as something white and European.
Exactly.
They've always seen it that way. Their Bibles. I remember when my father told me, my father was born in Louisiana in 1923. And the only reason that's important is because he said, son, I remember the day they were coming down the street in a truck talking about new Bibles for old. He said, and I was the only one in my house that could read. So I knew that the Bible we had went from Genesis to Chronicles. So when they gave us the new Bible, it had the Greek, well, he didn't call it the Greek scriptures. He said it then went from Genesis to Revelations. And all the pictures in it were now of white people.
A
And
whitewash
this was-
campaign. That's what that was.
Okay, so my point is, our people need to know that that is incorrect and that they can find themselves in the pages of that antiquity. And especially the prophecies that we find in Deuteronomy 28, the prophecies that we find in the book of Isaiah, the prophecies that we find in the book of Jeremiah, Joel. Listen, we could go on and on and on to talk about the very things that are going on in the world today that I can point right to you in the Hebrew scriptures, that he said that this was going to happen and that we were going to have to begin to bethink ourselves, as he called it, in the lands of our captivity. So we need to begin to see that it is not as it has been purported. We are those people found in that book. And only thing it takes is for someone to be able to sit and calmly show you without the vibrato of people feeling offended, without people, so that we can talk. You know, the book says, let's come. God even said this in the book to the children of Israel. Let's come and reason together.
Let's reason together.
So, yes. So these are the days where we need to come and reason together and not come with the stance or the perspective that I'm coming to you to prove something. Let's reason together. Let's see if we can pull the strings on this and see how it all comes together.
Well, let me ask you another question then, since you're going there. And actually, someone was asking a question about where exactly in Haggett Hall. I'm going to bring Brother Phil on in a minute, and he could explain the details as far as how to find the synagogue in Haggett Hall and whatnot. And let me answer this question before we get to Brother Phil. Hearing what you said, and I totally agree with you, especially when you speak about Deuteronomy 28. And like I said, Barbados and most of the Caribbean is a Christian. Most of them, I'm almost sure all of them, are considered predominantly Christian communities. What a lot of people may not know, that Barbados is the place that started Black theology in the Western world, in a place called Codrington College in the parish of St. John. And if you'll probably get a chance to take a trip there, you got to see it. But when they discuss about during enslavement, they said they reach a point where they realize, well, we're going to have to Christianize these Africans. Again, we're using these terms very loosely. We have to Christianize these Africans that we brought over here and incorporate them into our system. Otherwise, we're going to keep having this problem with the rebelliousness and always trying to get away and whatnot. So what we're going to do is Christianize them. And that's the actual word that they use. Even that word alone, this Christianize, like, what is that? So it sounds like some real mind programming. But when they did that, they created this thing called Black theology in terms of how they taught Africans then, or the enslaved then. You obey your master, you get to go to heaven. Be a good slave, obey your master, like, obey Jesus. And this was the narrative that was taught. Now, I'm not saying that to kind of, like you said, put any pressure on our Christian brothers and sisters. But then how do you bring the fact that everybody in the Old Testament, or what we call, you saying Torah, but most people may not know that, but Old Testament and New Testament, everybody that's in the Old Testament is Black. And probably everybody except for the character of Jesus and Paul in the New Testament is probably white. How do you get people who see everything as being whitewashed, white? They don't see themselves, even in the book, they don't see themselves. How do you reach them? How do you get the message across is the question I'm asking. And that might seem loaded, but you're in a Christian society where, like I said, most people of the oppression that the Jews is who killed their Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. How do you bring this message across, especially as a Black Jew?
Yeah, you can take that.
Yes, one of the first things that we have to do is sit down and open the book with them. And as we explain to them who they are and how the colonialistic doctrine has infected them in such a way and affected them. See, as a people, we have to go back instead of continuously arguing. The first thing we do not do is argue. The second thing we have to do is show them through the historical documents and the understanding that our people have to learn not only what's in the Bible, we have to learn the history of the Bible. We have to learn who Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, David, Elijah, Sarah, Rivkah, Raquel, and Leah. We cannot just talk about the fathers. We have to talk about the mothers as well.
Esther.
All of them had a part to play in our upbringing as a people.
That's
and
right.
The world that we live in today, most individuals don't see themselves there. They see other people. Once we put ourselves in the position to say that we are the people, we are the Israelites, we are the Jews, we are the Hebrews, we are the people of the book, then
right.
they'll be able to understand that. But the main thrust is we cannot sit there and argue the points.
Right.
We have to discuss those.
So yeah, be patient with people, but encourage them to think, right? Because we have people who are just repeating and regurgitating what they've been taught, but never thinking critically about the information that they were presented, regardless of what denomination that they're in. One way to start doing that for people listening at home and watching, whether and you don't have to be a rabbi to be able to do this, but even in studying your text, to ask yourself in the historical moment, what would Jesus understand and know? If Jesus were here, he would know the Torah because that's what he taught. But if you showed him the so-called New Testament, Jesus would say, what is that? I never saw that. We didn't use that. If you say, well, these are books written by Paul, he would say, who is Paul? I never met him. He was not one of my disciples. I never taught him, right? Even in the New Testament, we talk about Christians, the first time the word Christian is used in the New Testament is in the book of Acts, and it's used by Gentiles to describe Jews. Paul says, I am a Hebrew of the Hebrew. I was circumcised on the 8th day. Yes, I believe that Jesus is the Messiah, but that doesn't change my nationality as a Jew. That's true. So they believe that I'm a Jew. I believe Jesus is the Messiah, but I'm still a Jew. And so it's Gentiles who told Paul and his disciples, we call you Jews. And when they ask, why do you call us, why they call you Christians, excuse me. And he says, why do they call us Christians? He says, because we've met Jews before. We've known Jews for centuries. Yeah. You folks are different from the Jews that we know because you talk more about Christ than you do about God. And so therefore we give you the nickname Christians because you talk about Christ. Right. They and the Christians, interestingly enough, came to accept that term and embrace it. Yes.
But it wasn't it wasn't being used in a good way, being realistic.
Well, I don't think it was a derogatory term. I think it was a descriptive term, right? In terms of like people listening and watching. Right, if you come and you say you're a Jew, people know what Jews are and what they believe. What you're saying seems to be different from anything I've heard any other Jew talk about. You talk more about Christ than you do about God. Whereas Jews talk all about God and very little about the Messiah. There are a few verses here and there about the Messiah, but we are a God-centered people, right? And we do not equate the Messiah with God, right? The Messiah is not God, not equal to God in any way. And so we are a God-centered people. Whereas the Christianity that emerged, that really broke away from its Hebrew Israelite roots, became more of a Messiah-centric, and particularly around the person of Jesus as a Messiah. As to the crucifixion question, if Israelites have methods of execution in the Bible, stoning, beheading, hanging, right? But nowhere in the Torah do you find crucifixion. Crucifixion is a Roman method of execution.
Right.
right? So anybody who's crucified is crucified by the state, by the Roman state. It's like today, if you have gas chambers or you have the electric chair, right? That would identify that method with the people who invented it.
Right.
Crucifixion
Right. Exactly.
is something that Romans did, and they didn't just do it to Jesus; they did it to thousands of people, right? And so, therefore, again, this is for any Christian to think about. To say, how could Jews crucify Jesus or anyone else when they don't do crucifixions? Now, had he been stoned as he was close to becoming stoned, that's what Jews would have done when they start picking up stones, right?
Right.
Because you stone a person to death. But crucifixion is a Roman method of execution, and Jesus himself considered himself a Jew.
Wow.
So, and the other piece of that, if you say, well, when we speak to them, we have to let them know that just because we have a different understanding doesn't make us a different people. Only thing we're trying to do is, as I said, reason together. So when you look at the book of Deuteronomy in the 28th chapter, that chapter has 15 verses of a blessing that the Creator said he would bless us with if we did his law. And then he came up with, after that, 54 verses of curses. Right? Here's my point to you. Here's my point in saying that. If you look at Deuteronomy 28 and you look at all the people on the earth and you look at historically, now I'm not talking about purely biblically now, I'm talking about historically, what people on the earth are going to fit into all of those categories, right? Now,
all.
Right, you can pick. This people had this kind of persecution, and this people had this kind of persecution. Maybe this person had this thing, but now you have to talk about in the earth who was afflicted with every one of those prophecies.
Facts.
The last one being, and I want you to just think about this. The last one being when the Exodus happened and we left Egypt, right? At some point when we were in the wilderness, they said it was an 11 days journey from Egypt to Canaan, which became the land of Israel, by foot, an 11 days journey. Took us 40 years, but it was an 11 days journey. In Deuteronomy 28, God says that he's going to return us to Egypt or slavery in ships, right? We would not have had to go to Egypt by ships. Egypt was an 11 days journey by foot. Do you understand what I'm saying? We turned around and went back to Egypt for help on several occasions during the time of the kings, even though God told us not to. So the point of the matter is that when you're talking about the world and you're talking about the history of the world and who these things can fit in, if we just sit down calmly and discuss it without you feeling like I'm trying to shake the issue of your God, of your belief system, if we're just talking brother to brother, sister to sister, if we're talking family to family, just hear it out. The other thing about that is that this whole idea of Messiah, and I want your audience to know this, the Messiah is not a spooky word for us in the Hebrew scriptures. We knew who Messiah was. Messiah in Hebrew is Mashiach, which means anointed. There were only two people in the entire kingdom that was anointed. That was the king and the priest. This is the reason why in the Greek scriptures, in the very first chapter of Matthew's, they try to connect the birth of the man that they call Jesus with the house of David. through Joseph, who was his father, but not really his father, right? Because in order to be Mashiach, you have to be the seed of David. So they ran down a whole genealogy of Joseph to connect him with David, and then said in the next breath that he wasn't the child's father. So if he's not the child's father,
Yeah.
right? This is
Right.
just commonality stuff. Please, my Christian brothers and sisters, I hope I'm not being offensive to you at all. But if he was not of the seed of David, he could not be Mashiach. So they connected up Joseph to David, but then it says Joseph is not his father. So how did he become Mashiach? See? So in the Hebrew terms, Mashiach is a very specific thing, right? So when it was borrowed in the Greek scriptures, the definition of it changed.
Well, I guess they had to
Something-
maintain when they changed the narrative, because don't forget, when they started to teach enslaved how to read and about this thing called the Bible, that they would have just printed in 1611, by the way, around the same time, specifically for this particular purpose, realize that they had to spin the narrative in a way to get the people away from kumbaya, come here, yeah. They had to get them away from the knowledge of Hebrew and the songs that we were chanting on these plantations. They had to get us away from that knowledge of who we were as a people to accept who they wanted us to be. But in their haste to do this, a lot of stuff we could sit and we could point out that wouldn't add up at all. I mean,
And that's
pick
exactly
this.
what it tells you.
We could go through all of that. But that's why I've said, family, these three wise men are going to be in Haggett Hall Synagogue this Sabbath, Saturday. About to bring Brother Phil in. He could tell you all the details as far as where it is, how to get there, whatever the case is. And we'll be back in a second. Just give me a second to line it up.
Wow, that's what I was.
Yeah. Yo, so right here, for those now join us again, we up here in this politically incorrect, in an honor night, in that we have three wise men, three rabbis here to bring a message about, and it makes so much sense. Even saying it is just black Jews. It's like, Jews are black, full stop. Jews are black. So there's no such thing as a black Jew. That's like, I know, like what they say, superfluous. It was redundant. It's black Jew. Jews are black. Now that we have migrated and things have happened, diversify and whatnot, yeah, we get that. And you could use other descriptive terms from a culture or racial point of view to describe others. But originally, indigenously, we are the children of the sun, the Most High. So, Brother Phil, I see you have a whole black background. Look like outside, I don't know. But tell us about...
I'm outside. I'm on the beach here having dinner for my birthday.
Lucky you. By the way, happy Herb Strong. Happy Herb Strong to you. Your solar return.
Yeah. Shalom, brothers. And I want to say shalom to you.
Shalom, bro. Haggett Hall Synagogue.
Yes.
Tell us where it is. Someone answered a comment about where it is. Where is it located exactly? Folks,
the corner of Norman Niles roundabout, Salters Road, heading into St. George. You come to the roundabout, you keep to the left going towards St. George, and it is the third building on the right side. There are no buildings on the left anyway. There's a third building. It's a blue and white building perched on the little hill there, and it is generally open most days, but we have our service on Saturdays at 11 a.m. And sometimes it gets so good it goes till about 6 o'clock in the evening, but that's usually just social time after the service itself. But yes, Haggett Hall, St. Michael, Salters Road, Haggett Hall, St. Michael is the address.
Okay, well that sounds I mean I think anybody could follow those directions. I think you've done a good job.
And if you can't find it, always feel free to call me. My number can go up on the screen, and everyone, you know, I'm always
put it in the chat.
accessible.
No question. You can drop it in the chat
Will
when you get a
do.
chance. Sure. I was
Yes.
going to ask you,
Yeah.
brothers, again, since I have you now up here, the connection between Barbados and well, America really is directly linked to this gentleman, Rabbi Ford. My thing is that at this point, looking forward, you know, where do you see this movement going? Because for me personally, like I said, and I always say this, in my father's house are many mansions, and I only use that word to say that as a people, we spent so much time debating what our differences are. Well, you're this and you're that and you're this and you're that. Meanwhile, the whole world is moving forward and looking at us and laughing. So anything that's going to be able to unify a people, you know, to bring us together, anything, I'm all for it, because it's a journey to find truth. And some may take a road this way, some may go that way. The point is, if you focus on finding out truth and seeking truth, then truth is going to find you. You know, the Torah is the law, full stop. And there's law when it comes to earth. There's law. You know, I always tell people that within man no law. So when you come across truth, naturally you're going to feel it. You're going to vibrate to it. The connection between Barbados and America, or Barbados and the conversation, rather, I should say, about Black Jews or Jews. Do you think that's timely in light of what's going on in Barbados now and like what's going on in the world now? You think it's by chance that this is the conversation we're having?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I would say, go ahead.
No, please, Philip.
No, I was going to say nothing is coincidental. The law is the law. The word of God is the word of God. It is written. It is ordained in advance. We often want to give credit to things we don't know, and we often mess it up by kind of discrediting the whole thing. And you know, today when we were at lunch, there was a conversation where the rabbi asked me what is the difference between a Hebrew and a Jew, and I had to explain that so that he wanted to know if I understood the concept properly. But you see, sometimes our ignorance, I'm sorry to say, does discredit us in what we say. So no, there's no coincidence in any of this. The time that we're in right now is necessary. Barbados is one of the oldest Jewish colonies outside of Israel, outside of Jerusalem. The oldest temple in the West is in Speightstown in Barbados. That is a significant thing. In addition to that,
hold on, wait a second. Wait, I gotta cut you here for a second. I can't let you gloss over that. No, because Barbados, we have been told, there's a big lot of documentaries. All the tourists are told they spent, I think, $7 or $8 million to restore this place downtown, and they said that this place downtown is the oldest synagogue. This is where it happened in Barbados. You're saying that that's not the case. Please elaborate a bit more on that.
The oldest synagogue is actually in Speightstown, which is now called Speightstown. It is still there today, a bit boarded up at this point, but the history is being rewritten. It's being glossed over as usual. It is being written for a reason, and a certain narrative is being spoken. But the truth of the matter is that is simply not the truth. And anyone that wants to dispute that with me, I'll put them in my car and I'll take them and I'll show them. I will show them the oldest synagogue in the Western civilization. In Speightstown itself, unless they blow up the building.
Why is it called Speightstown? Spice. Why Speightstown?
Well, in the day, you know, Barbados was a port for trade, second largest economy in the world, and we did all the trade that came between Africa and the East, and parts of South America. And one of the biggest trading countries that supplied us was Grenada, with all the spices and so on. So they called it Speightstown. and then eventually it became Speightstown.
Wow. See, Boris was always a transshipment point. That's why I tell people all the time, when they first got here, and by they I mean the invaders,
Yes.
when they started identifying, the beauty of the place, that is that they took possession of it. There was original treaties, and agreements that eventually they violated. And they actually wrote this. They have documentation indicating how this happened, how they basically tricked indigenous people out of, their nationality and their inheritance, which is the land. By giving them some booze, some guns, and making some agreements with land and governments and England and quick. So, we had nothing. And you find that same thing is going on now. When they talk about this thing called the Great Reset, I keep telling people that, God, however you want to describe God, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jew, you're conscious, into African spirituality, at the end of the day, as Rastafari, I see so many aspects of what we claim and what we cling to in everything we do. We just kind of do it a little different based on culture. So depending on where you are from, it might be the same practice. And someone had a video up recently. This is a perfect example. And they show women in the indigenous skirts, the flare skirts with the head wraps and the dances. The women would do the dance with the skirts and just go out and come in and that kind of stuff. And they show women from all the Caribbean islands. They show women from North America, all in Africa, all in England. And it's like, wait a minute. They're all doing the exact same dance. So wait a minute. How is it possible that they all have the same thing going on? What connects them? Culture.
Yes. Yeah.
But we debate certain things. And I agree with the brother said earlier, the rabbi said earlier about let's go back. Rather than keep forging our way forward assuming what we were given is the gospel truth. And I'm saying that playing with the words, obviously. Let us go back and reason together. Let's take a look at, where this started, and let's connect the dots for ourselves to see the picture emerge, to juxtapose it, to see if it is a copy or replica of the image they have sold us. Because, people that fed you wrong, people that treat you wrong, that educated you wrong, that did you wrong, will most definitely teach you wrong. And we need to be honest about that and take a deeper look into it. Rabbi, you guys are here to when? Next week?
Next
Yes,
week.
sir.
I feel we want to get you back on here before you leave, though. I think it's only right we get you back on here again before you go. We could discuss
We'd be
that.
delighted to come back anytime that you're available, and luckily through this technology, we can continue this relationship even when we return to the United States.
That's right. But before you go off now, I want you to give us some parting words. Anything you want to add before you go?
I would like
Hang on, gentlemen, before you do that, let me just make one small statement. Barbados is such a significant piece of rock in this ocean, yeah? And, a lot of the world's policies have been first developed here, including the 3/5 black man value. All of that was developed here in Barbados. We don't have enough time to go into all of that
No,
tonight.
touch it. No, touch it.
Because a lot of these rules were developed. All these rules that became law, even in the United States, were first developed here in Barbados, and we were exploited to the extent to find out how this would work, and then it was then taken to the first world countries and put into policy. Now, if you look at the reset and look at what they're trying to tell us. We are a country supposedly that's a republic that isn't a republic, that has a constitution that doesn't have a constitution, that has a leader that I'm not sure if it's a leader. We are now being experimented with again to set the tone for the one world government. It has to start here because the last cycle started here. They have to come back here again in order to project forward. I just wanted to lay that out there tonight. We'll speak on that some more at a later time. But thank you.
Powerful stuff, brother Phil. Yes, Rabbi.
My closing remarks would be to end on a unifying note, which is we say that as Israelites, our history starts with Abraham, the first Hebrew. Through him, because could trace that all the way up to Jesus, as we talked about earlier. And I would even include Muhammad, who said that it was the Hebrew prophet Gabriel who came to him. And so if all of these Abrahamic faiths that trace their origin back to Abraham, the covenant that God made with Abraham was to be a light to the nations, Or Legoyim. So our mission, whether you consider yourself an Israelite, a Christian, or a Muslim, is you're supposed to be a light of how people should live together on this earth.
You got to say that again, man. You got to say that again. No, you got to say that again, man. You got to say that again. That's powerful, bro.
The covenant, in terms of what, if we say you're the chosen people, what did God choose you for? What did God choose you to do? And what he said is, I want you, my people, to be a light to the rest of the world, to be an example of good living, of how to treat other people, of how to live on this earth. That is what you're supposed to do. And the prophet Micah said, what does the Lord require you to do? And he said, do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before thy God. Wow. And so whatever you call yourself, right, if we first pursue justice in the earth, anywhere there is injustice, to fight that, then you are living out your faith. Wow. If you are merciful, and that means being compassionate, even of sinners and even people who've committed crimes, if they repent, if they return, if they acknowledge and admit what they've done, to be merciful and to be humble. Which, is our own humility, that we are not perfect and that we have histories of oppressions against our own people, justices. So that gives us a certain humility as opposed to arrogance. And if we could build on those things, then I think we can achieve a better world.
Wow, powerful, bro, powerful. You sound like me. Politically incorrect.
We're on the same page. We're working towards the same goal.
That's the language, man. That's the language, man. I don't want it. Don't tell me all the other theological doctrine stuff. Live that godly life. Live that as best you can. Manifest that light. It's amazing, really. Elder, before we go, I want you to close us out with a word meditation. And I was actually going to play your video with you singing, my good brother.
Please don't do that.
I was going to put you on the spot to play your video with you singing.
Let him do it. Go ahead.
But hold on.
If they want to hear him live, they can come to service this Sabbath.
Tell us where again the service is. It's in Haggett Hall. I had a sister just actually put the time.
Zion House of Israel, Haggett Hall, and you can hear him live, and you can do that, or we can give you a blessing.
Yes, we'll take both.
Depending on time, we can give you a closing blessing. He can give you a blessing, or you can play the song.
We'll let the elder do the blessing. We'll let the elder do the blessing, and we'll let him do the sound. We'll let the elder do the blessing, and we'll let him do the sound.
Well, you can play Rabbi Ford's song, which a lot of us haven't heard. Was that what you were going to play?
Which one was it?
Rabbi Ford's.
Yeah, no. I'm still play that one. But I was let me just pull it up really quick. Hang on a second. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. This is on your website. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and share this as well. For anybody who's also interested, is only right. Let me go ahead and share this as well. And I'll put the link in the description, and I'll also put it in the comments. Let me just go ahead and grab this. blackjews.org is the website, and I'll go ahead and post that in the comments. Those interested in learning more or finding out more or getting a better idea. But while I was going through it, I came across Psalms 150 in song, in Hebrew, by Baruch. Now that name is interesting because, from my understanding, the leader of independence, Mr. Aaron Barrow, actually his family name wasn't Barrow, it was Baruch, if I'm pronouncing it correct.
Correct.
And well, guess what? I just found out that that's also your last name, and you do have family from Barbados. You have connections here, yeah?
Oh, we have the connection of the congregation. The first rabbi of that congregation was also a founding member of the congregation that I now lead in Brooklyn.
Okay. Wow. Wow. So I found that to be quite interesting that you should share that name as well. Very interesting. But what you can do for us, man, before you go, is you can drop a word, and I'll let the elder say a prayer. But before we do that, I want to play the song, like I said, that was written by the elder. I think it's only right. Let me go ahead and share this as well really quick. Let me put this up here so those could see. For those who now tuning in, this has been a really intriguing night. I can't even say it another way. This is the Universal Ethiopian Anthem. And I'll go ahead and play this.
Ethiopia, thou land of our fathers, thou land where the gods love to be. A storm cloud at night suddenly gathers, all armies come rushing to thee. We must in the fight be victorious, when swords are thrust outward to gleam. For us will the victory be glorious, when led by the red, black, and green. Advance to victory, let Africa be free. Advance to meet the foe, advance to meet the foe, with the might of the red, the black, and the green, with the might of the red, the black, and the green.
Unity, unity.
O Jehovah, thou God of the ages, grant unto our sons that lead the wisdom thou gave to thy sages when Israel was strong in need. Thy voice to the dim past has spoken, Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hand. By thee shall all fetters be broken, and heaven bless our dear motherland. Advance, advance to victory, let Africa be free. Advance to meet the foe, advance to meet the foe, with the might of the red, the black, and the green, with the might of the red, the black, and the
Yes, that right there, man. I mean, to think that brother's lyrics and music lasted over 100 years and influenced so many people to focus on their nationality, regardless of where they're at, there's always more to learn, unlearn and learn, you know. And Ford coming from Barbados, I mean, wow, that says a lot. That says a lot, man, you know. And we give respect to the brother for the work he did and the torch that he passed on in Barbados as well as North America that brought y'all right back here, you know. It's one family and we got one direction to go, which is forward, you know, to correct these issues that took centuries to unravel. And it's going to take us now generations to get it going forward. But we must start now, and not pass this on to our children.
Amen.
Well, the elder, I want the elder you could close us out with a word, a positive word, you know, as the elder here amongst us. I know you got to respect them 3 years though, but you still the elder. That's an inside one, but that's between us, man. That's between us, man.
So
But
all
it's
who
all
are in the sound of my voice, please stand. The priestly blessing. Yureka Adonai Vayishmareka.
Eyirato.
Yahira Adonai Penawaleka Vikugnika.
Eyirato.
Yisara Adonai Penawaleka Weshimlika Shalom.
Eyirato.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. Amen.
May it be as well.
May the Lord turn his face upon you and be gracious to you.
May it be as well.
May the Lord turn his face upon you and bring you peace. May we all say, Amen.
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 Thank you
very much,
Thank
sir.
you. Yes.
Be blessed.
Kai. Yeah, Kai.
And
I just got 3 years.
I just 3 years, only 3.
And we'll see you Shabbat, brother, right?
Yeah, nah, for sure. I'm definitely going to pass. I'm definitely going to pass through without question.
All right.
And
Bill,
it's just the right
we'll
thing
see
to
you on
do, man.
Shabbat.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Very
But
good.
I think we meet Friday morning again. I think I've called the parties. I'm trying to organize. They were suggesting even tomorrow evening might be better than.
Are we still in the air now?
So I will
Yes.
organize. I will continue to work with them over the night, and communicate with you tomorrow.
All right, all right.
We'll talk off the air.
We gonna
Yes.
give you a shout and we gonna click from there. But thanks again for coming through. You're most
Thank you.
appreciated.
Okay.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom,
Love
family. Yes, family. There you have it. The 3 wise men, they came through and blessed us, man. You know, we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks. I mean, it's an honor. 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 I mean, so much information to absorb. Now, people say, well, Emmanuel, wait a minute. Are you a Rasta man and you will be on there with Muslim? You got Christians on there. You got the Jews or the black Jews of all the people, not just Jews. You got the black Jews, you know, like that's some sort of, I mean, listen, man, family, listen, family, you know, anything that promotes unity, we don't all have to agree on the exact same thing. But like the brother just said, I think that was the most profound thing. You know, if you took nothing from what those brothers talked about, like he said, you know, if we are chosen, what are we chosen to do? Just to run around the place and, hey, I'm African, so I'm superior race? Nah. We're chosen to fulfill a duty to be the light of the Most High on this earth. Do what is right. The brother said justice. Justice is a balance. You see injustice, we speak on it. Now we ain't letting that happen. Not on our watch. We have a duty. And a duty is different to a job. See, you could refuse to do your job. You know, man, I ain't going to work. I ain't doing that. You could refuse to do that. But when it's your duty, then you report for duty. You show up for duty. You know, you protect the women, you protect the children, you know, you do no harm, let no one harm you. And in the same token, you do right what's in the eyes of God. And that's it. All that other stuff, you know, that come afterwards. So if you're a Muslim and you keep the law and you make sure you practice being just and honorable and noble, if you're a Christian and you deal with just or conscious brother, or you're Yoruba, or you Rastafari, if you ain't dealing with truth and justice, then what you really dealing with? Well, what are you really dealing with? I don't care how much books you read. I don't care what dogma you got memorized. I can care less if you can recite the whole Quran in Arabic, ancient Arabic. Could make me no difference. If you ain't living by that which you claim, then it don't make no sense even having the conversation, man. That's just how I feel about it. So as much as folks would say with Rastaman, you know, burn fire upon the Bible and look, man, go burn yourself, man. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Like, we just help each other along the way, make it easy. That's it. That's all I'm saying. You know, let's discuss our differences later. In the meantime, let's just help each other. That's how I see it, family. But anyhow, You know, the brother said he's gonna be at Zion House. That's in Haggett Hall. They said his sister got it here. The time is 11 a.m. To 2 p.m. And the location information, I think she added up earlier. I'll see if I can find it again really quick. I had it here. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. It's Haggett Hall, and there's some numbers right here. I'm not sure who that is, but you can give it a call and check with it, or you can probably link this sister online between now and then if you feel like it. You could probably try to send a message or so. I'm sure she'll be open to responding to that particular purpose. You know, not trying to put you out there, sis, but give thanks, Tracy Agard. Much respect for sharing the knowledge and information. Yeah, Phil. They say blessed Earth strong to you too. Man, look, give thanks to everybody that came on tonight on the platform. This is called Politically Incorrect. For those joining us for the first time, tell a friend to tell a friend. That's all those slogan. Tell a friend to tell a friend, because the only way this word is going to get out is if we tell it. It ain't going to happen no other way. Only if we tell it, how we tell it. So shalom to each and every one from the Hebrew Israelite community, although that's a bit redundant, Hebrew Israelite, and I'm a Hebrew Israelite. The Hebrew is Israelite. Israelite is Hebrew. I mean, but anyhow, that's just how that go. One of them things. But thank you again. Beyond Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday at 8 p.m. That's at Eastern Standard Time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Usually 8, maybe a little after 8, depending on if we got a glitch in the matrix or not, which is a possibility sometimes. But we on live. Feel free to drop in. If you want to send us an email, the email address is politically incorrect. Wait, hold up. Was it politically incorrect .246? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Gmail.com. If not, yeah, politically.in.correct. Yeah, there you go. Politically.in.correct 246 at gmail.com. Telephone number is 246-838-8253 on WhatsApp. Give us a shout. Tell a friend and tell a friend. But we give thanks. The brother said it was a great show. Yeah, well, the platform is what it is, man. We just share the knowledge. That's what it is. Come on and speak your truth. We're not on here to bash anybody. We're not on here to, none like that. Nah, none like that. This is about speaking the truth and letting the message get to the people. And the only way it's going to get to the people, if I do my part, do your part, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Yeah? But yeah. Well, I started the program tonight with this guy, Nassim Black. And I don't know if y'all ever heard of him before, but the brother got some tunes, man. The brother got some tunes. And I'm going to just drop another one real quick. Just because.
Are we here?
Let me see if I can put this up. Hang on a second.
I think so. I think this is the place. Can't believe you're wearing that.
Acidic Jew rapping. I had to put this up, man.
You boys lost?
Oh my gosh. Look, I think it's Schweck.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Imagine that, right?
Oh, no, never mind. It's just Nissan Black. We're good. Thanks.
Yeah, fine. Well, you came just on time.
Man, crazy. Look, the world done changed, family. Everything is changing. Everything is changing. Pay attention. Pay attention. There's a reason why God took the youth into Zion, into the promised land, and left the old folks with a bit stiff neck. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. Have a Nagila, I'm breathing. Yeah. Have a Nagila, we even. Got a mazel tov for the game. Yeah. But I really do the thing. Yeah. Dance homie, God told me. Yeah. God's man, how they know me. Yeah. Call me loose in the streets. Yeah. But we know, but like peace. Yeah. Ain't trying to hurt nobody. We just came in the party like it's $59.99. Yeah. They gon' see us in our prime. Yeah. Big house coming down. Yeah. From the sky to the crap. Yeah. We gon' sing it out loud. Yeah. Black, Jewish, and I'm proud. Yeah. Ain't a political man. Yeah. Ain't no political stance. Yeah. But when the beat knock, I jam. Yeah. And I got the hopper in hand. Yeah. Read cool when the beat smooth. 16
Irvin, I see you, brother. Art in motion. Rastafari. Shout out to Alex, man. Yes, family. I'm gonna tell you this right now, family, man. It's not by chance. It's not by chance that we find ourselves here. Let me just get this clear. I want to say this real quick. This is a serious thing. And Isis, I saw your post. That's why I had to do that. Had to pull that one real quick. And I definitely want to say this again. May Johnny Tuna rise in power. May his spirit, if a wrong was done to him, may his spirit not give that person rest. You know, because like I said, that's amongst them, yes. But the brother did look out for the youth when we appealed to him for the youth in the capacity he chose to, regardless of whether, you know, in the capacity he chose to. So yeah, Johnny Tudor, you know, he was the chairman of the JS and whatnot. Yeah, we know. But right now we're going to work at one thing, and that's recognizing the contribution he did for the youth in Barbados Youth Action Program. May his spirit rise in power. May his family find the peace they're looking for. And may they also have more strength in this time, because at the end of the day, family, you know, we in this together. And the brother said it earlier, regardless of what he would have done in his life, if he reach a point where he want to make amends for that and make it right, then who am I to say, well, you can't do that because you did all this wrong? Who am I to do that? Not me. You know, so most strength to Johnny Tudor and his family, and may he, like I said, rise in power. And if a wrong was done to him, may they not get any rest, man. May his spirit roam free. Real thing, family. That's the time we're living in, man, and we gotta be serious about this. You know, give thanks to the brothers for coming through. Real thing. Definitely thank you for your contribution too. Give thanks to the family abroad in the region. It's one Caribbean, one nation, family. And like I said, Barbados is ground zero. A lot of what goes on in North America, a lot of people don't know, started right here. This is ground zero. This is where they perfected. This is where they perfected apartheid. For those who don't know, this is where they perfected the art of apartheid. So, anyhow, give us a link. You know, inbox us. You know, send us an email, whatever. And we here. If you feel like supporting the program, we have a PayPal account. It's eBarelia@gmail.com. But again, make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. That's how we do. That's how we do this thing, man. We give thanks, man. Yo, nah, stop playing. Stop playing. Stop playing, bro. Oh, man. Child, man. I don't want to get emotional. Don't even do this to me, man. Rocking you, rocking you, rocking you. Let me say this to you, bro. Sure. I told your brother earlier, right? I don't even know if I could say this, man. I don't even know if I could finish this, man. When I was on Rikers Island, when I used to be on Rikers Island, and I don't wish Rikers Island for nobody. One of the only things that would keep me kind of sound in my mind and stable was listening to the music by this brother on a radio station. I never knew the brother, but from my understanding, he has some Beijing connections. So that was the only thing I had connected to Barbados, was this guy on a radio. And I mean, look, man, yeah, family. The things we go through makes us the men and women that we are, man. You know, whole firm, family. David, I give thanks to you, bro. For real. I don't know you, man, but like from my heart, man, let's give thanks, man. Give thanks, man. All the guys that locked up, you know, maybe some people might, I don't even think anybody deserved being locked up, but on the real, yeah, you help a lot of people preserve their sanity, man. Real thing, man. You know, you're a general, man. I salute you, bro. 100%, man. And on that note, man, I'm just going to rock my way off this before I get here, man, and get all emotional and stuff. And people got me as a meme tomorrow. Look, how the Rasta man online crying. You making sport? I ain't got no problem crying, though. I ain't got no problem crying, man. That ain't no problem. But on the real, bro, give thanks, man. Give thanks, family. Isis, I see you, family. Blessed love, man. Rocking you, rocking you, rocking you all the way, man. Cha. Listen, man. You have no idea, man. You have no idea, man. We gonna reason, bro. We gonna reason. Monica, the ambassador, give thanks for making this whole thing possible, man. The link done made, though. The link done made. It doesn't connect, man. You know what I'm saying? I showed it to Bigger in the restaurant this evening and the brethren from the Deacon's Farm, man. Jason, yeah. Give thanks. Jason, not Jason. Jason. That's right. We give thanks to the family, man. Anyhow, y'all have a great night. You know, an amazing night. But you know, I gotta drop the anthem, family. Y'all know the anthem, man. I cannot not drop the anthem. Jackie, this one for you for sure. Where is that? Hold on. Here we go. This the anthem, family. This how we leave this platform at night, family. David, this tune for you. This tune for you, my brother. I know you know who this is, man. Far too long we on this treadmill, family. Far too long, man. Y'all know it already. Far too long, man. This one right here for the family. Bunny Wheeler. It's time. It's time, family. Tell a friend to tell a friend, man. And I wasn't giving trouble, ISIS. I was just rebellious.
We've been down in the valley.
We've been down the valley much too long, family.
We've been down in a poverty, oh so long, yeah. We've been down in captivity, much too long.
Too long in this captivity, family.
We've been down in humility, and oh so long.
Guess what, family?
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine. And win your liberation. Yes. Now is the time, family.
All nations must be free.
All nations must be free.
Rise and shine. Restore your strength and
restore your strength and power.
Waste no more time. Remember your history.
It's time to remember who we are, family. That's right. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Art in motion, I see you, my brother. Rise and shine, my people. Rise and shine. Yes.
We've been down in a separation much too long.
Divine love and light to you too,
We've been down in humiliation, oh so long, yeah. We've been down in a condemnation much too long. We've been down in a segregation, oh so long. So rise and shine as the morning sun that surrounds.
I am my brother's keeper, Halam. I am my brothers and sisters' keeper. We don't need no prison, man.
Rise and shine for the sake of the younger generation.
For the sake of the younger generation.
Hearts and minds to brotherhood and unity.
That's right, family.
We've been down in the valley much too long.
Haile Selassie the First, Empress
We've
with
been
your many
down
family.
in a poverty, oh so long.
One perfect balance.
We've been down in captivity much too long. We've been down in humility and oh so long. We've been down.
We've been down, family. We've been down. Time to get up, family. The children watching us. The children watching us, family. It's time to rise and shine. Rise and shine.
We've been down in a condemnation much too long. And we've been down in a segregation oh so long. Yeah, yeah. We've been down in the valley much too long.
Wendell, I love this one. Wendell, Almighty God is sent upon us all that we may walk in your light.
Oh, so
Rastafari. Shout out to Blinds and this, by the way. Sure. Lumumba. Yo, man. Shout out to Barbados Youth Action Program, man. One of the only legit programs in the region when it comes to youth. Facts. Otherwise, show me one. Y'all have a beautiful night. Remember, we're back here again on Friday night. Sabbath for some. We'll be back on here Friday at 8 o'clock for sure. Got another special guest coming on Friday. Y'all don't want to miss this one. I'm telling you. Yo, give thanks to all the day ones, man, family. Blessed love. Here, y'all have a beautiful night. Upful, joyful, peaceful, and restful. Catch you all next First Light. See you in a few days, man. Rastafari.